and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today, guys, we're going to be jumping back down into the world of XRP, reviewing the price action of what has been going on most recently and where I think things are heading next. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, make sure you smash that like button for me. Really do appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe if you haven't done so already. By tapping the bell and selecting all the notifications, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you're watching on Twitter, make sure you are giving us a follow and a repost. Would actually help push this content out to more like-minded individuals, so why not go ahead and do me a solid and complete those few actions. Let's just jump right down into the video. Let's kick things off with the 1 hour time frame. So we are still looking for moves to the downside. This hasn't changed, even though we did close above the daily EMA of the 200, but as we were talking about over the weekend, had we gone in on an entry level short position here with a stop loss above 59.739, then we're actually in the green here. We've seen a little bit of a move to the downside. It's nothing major. We did see about 4.8% with leverage. It would be pretty meaty, but obviously we're still looking for further moves to the downside here across the board. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this because I need to put that back, and I'm going to lock it in place so I don't move it accidentally. We can see, of course, we have an interesting structure heading on down here at the moment, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to do some sense checks on this. Is this the reversal that we're looking for or not? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the correct one here if I can. Why can't I not move it? These things, they really do like to test us today. So I'm going to grab the Fibonacci retracement tool. There we go. I'm going to move it over to here. We can see that we're not yet on that, we're not yet at 1.618 on this. So when we take a look, right, in order for this to be a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, we'd have had to have dropped down to the 1.618 to see that play out. So we're still, if they want this to kind of be a thing that was playing out, we have to drop down to 50.442 to give us that reversal confirmation. So at the moment, we don't have that confirmation of reversal here. What you can do is you can see that actually we wicked down into this little low area between 1 and 1.236. This is very typical of an ABC structure, A, B, and C structure. So it basically tells us that, we're not yet seeing this fifth wave movement to the downside in the same way that we would expect. Now, there are a couple of other patterns that would allow us to have justification on this. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that out of the way there. And for that to be the case, we'd have to see it as a diagonal pattern. Diagonal patterns are allowed to have 3-wave pattern structures internally, but they make up a 5-wave structure overall. So if we're to see a diagonal in here, this is not a good starting position for that because it is a really small 3-wave count. Now, it can be that that's a part of a bigger play, which is basically looking like this. That would be more in line with a diagonal structure that we'd be looking for. So for now, I'm going to leave this kind of open for a little bit. We're just going to kind of see how it plays out. But we are looking at an 3-wave drop here at the moment. This has, of course, created overlap with our current structures. So nothing major is occurring here. We're not thinking and looking at the price action and saying to ourselves that we are, going straight down into this drop. And we can't look at it in the same lens and saying, look, it's a corrective pattern, so we're going upwards either. This is actually quite a complex structure that we find ourselves in. And what we're going to look for here is we're going to look for a break of structure, and we're going to basically look to see confirmation of the direction that we're trying to trade, right? So we have a swing high at the moment set at 55.750. Okay, so if we go up higher than that, then we know that we're still in wave 4. Okay, with invalidation of wave 4 being set at 59.739. And if we come down lower than our swing lows, which are 51.763, then we are confirming that we're still in this corrective pattern, potentially starting the 5th wave movement to the downside. Okay, momentum is shifting back to overbought on our hourly chart, so this is not going to be a positive move at the moment. If we go ahead and hide the stochastic RSI and throw the volumes in, you can see the volumes are just non-existent at the moment, both to the upside and to the downside, so nothing major there. RSI is actually mid level as well, so nothing major across the board on those. So for the most part here, we can, of course, still push up a little ways. I do not think that we'll be hitting the 200 EMA, but it's a possibility that we can. And of course, we do have 59.739 being our invalidation. So until we kind of get a good confirmation of this, it's going to be quite a difficult one. The next move, in my opinion, should be up. How much of an upward move that's going to end up being is going to be the thing that we're going to pull into question, because we could be looking at diagonal in here as well. We could be looking at a leading diagonal of the 5-wave move that is going to be included in our 5th wave. It's a little bit complex, but bear with me 1 second here. We can, of course, acknowledge that diagonals don't have to follow the same rules necessarily. There's a couple of different diagonal patterns that would allow us to potentially look at this as a starting position, but then it has us tank down deeper into a bigger wave 3 position. Okay, so a few things to kind of monitor. I don't think it's is clear yet. And one of the things I do need to be clear about, though, is that I think that we are in a very bearish position for XRP. We're not going to be going to the moon anytime soon. We're not looking for a bounce and recovery here. Essentially, we have to kind of fill these patterns to the downside. We need to be clear about that. The only thing that's not yet clear is whether we have started wave 5 or we're still in wave 4, okay, on the hourly chart. Let's go ahead and take this up into our daily. And here you can see the very same thing, right? We're talking about this move to the downside, which will basically, that's our hourly move, by the way. We're looking for that move down to complete our 5th wave movement on the hourly. And that builds us up into a wave 3 on our daily time frame, right? And so when we start reflecting on this, we need to consider, okay, well, if we go into this wave 3 here, it is going to put us into a pretty bearish position, right? And I think that wave 3 is actually going to be significantly lower than this, because I suspect that what we've really got going on is actually a wave 1, wave 2. All of this will be our wave 3 up to 4, down into 5, which will finish this wave 3. Now, I don't want to talk about that bit necessarily just yet, because it is adding an extra layer of complexity, which will become clearer later than it does right now. But essentially, it looks like we've still got further downside to complete this structure. Now, that's under the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that we're actually in a WXY, X, and Z. Also, the best case scenario is that we're in a WXY and XZ pattern, and we can kind of fall out of this 5-wave structure. But for now, this is kind of where it's looking, and it looks like we are going to be testing those existing lows around the bear market low points that we had seen previously at 28.6 to 30 cent. Okay, and there's a nice area down here of good levels of support to be found, very specifically in this particular range here. Let me go ahead and just pull it across. As you can kind of see, this yellow range here happens to fall at 30 cent to 33.9. This is an interesting point for me because, as you can see, it does kind of have this area of consolidation. Every time we've come in here, we've reversed pretty quickly. Of course, if we do lose this and we lose 28.6, we're going to be dropping down quite significantly. So we do need to bear that in mind. If we complete a 5-wave pattern like this, it's an inevitability that we will actually go down deeper than 28. I think we'll probably have another new bear market low point for XRP under those particular circumstances. So a WXYXZ actually would protect you from that and could leave us in a stronger position. But I do suspect that actually we are more than likely going to see further downside that could lead to a new bear market low for XRP. And this is the development that we're trying to monitor to see whether or not we can get confirmation of that or not. Okay, the data is not quite clear enough to give us certainty in that. I suspect it's likely to occur, though, based on the current structures that are here. From a weekly standpoint, and considering we could not hold our previous area of support, which was coming in at 52 to 58 cent, unfortunately, this means that we are likely to see further downside, and this area of previous resistance remains just that, resistance, yet to confirm it as a support level. Again, this actually lines up very nicely with thinking about this move here, right? We've come down, we finished that 5-wave pattern, we bounce up into resistance, and we come back down, potentially into a new bear market low. Now, when I say this new bear market low, it doesn't have to be significantly lower than the 28.7. It just has to be lower than 28.7, in my opinion, specifically if it follows this particular structure, right? If we complete 5 waves to the downside, maybe we come down to kind of, around 36 cent or something to that effect, right? If we do that and we move back up into this area of resistance and we find it is strong resistance, we're unable to break through it, then we're going to come down into a new bear market low. If, however, that B wave can rally on through, it could protect us and give us a double bottom situation like this. Okay, these are the things that will develop over the next few months, and we'll have better clarity on that once we get into that B wave structured move to the upside. So for XRP at the moment, yeah, it's bearish. It isn't something that we can be overly too confident on at the moment. On the weekly time frame, I'm a little bit more confident than I am on the, let's say, hourly time frame and the 4-hourly time frame. I think the daily and the weeklies are looking for that bounce and that B wave move upwards a little bit higher, but we can't get through that until we kind of finish off those smaller corrections on those smaller time frames. That being said, we hope for a double bottom as the worst case scenario here, and we'll see whether or not we can get a good break out of this particular range. The fact that we did wick down lower than the 250 EMA on the weekly time frames is interesting, more so that we broke the existing support levels that we were hoping to target. So ultimately, I think we have to be bearish here. This isn't something that we can kind of think of giving us some kind of strength, thinking that this is going to be a fantastic run up or a good correction that we can now take advantage of. I think essentially here what we're looking at is exactly what it is. It's a bearish move, and the bears have control of this pattern at the moment. Taking us up into our data, membership.cheekycrypto.io, linked in the description down below. This is where we have various different things on offer for our members. We have a 7-day free trial across all the different plans that we have, and they're all listed down here on the website. Everything from videos, member-only videos that is, to member-only technical analysis, all the way through to what the team are buying and selling, what the trending coins are, what the exchange listings are, whale alerts, all those kind of things. And a way going through a little bit deeper into technical analysis on request, into trade ideas that's generated from artificial intelligence using the analysts' charts from our Discord. So there's so much going on, right? And of course, we have exclusive access to course material and, of course, on-chain data as well, which is what we're coming here for. If we go to the data zone, we can take a look at the XRP on-chain data. We can get the overview here. This overview shows us the circulating supply, the all-time high, the number of days since its all-time high, the percentage that it's down from its all-time high, and of course everything from the amount of transactions in the last 24 hours, 956,000, and it only cost $1,000 for all of those transactions. The average value of a transaction is $4,700 as well. So we have some really good stats here that kind of showcase just how good XRP is, right? Because we can take a look and we can compare to Ethereum if we wanted to. Note that the fee structures are significantly lower on XRP than they are on Ethereum. No brainer, right? But also kind of allows us to really kind of depict, actually, there's a use case around XRP of transferring money across borders. We know this, right? It's one of the fundamental things that gets spoken about a lot. Cross-border payments, ODL, and all these things. And actually, here's the stats to back up exactly how good that product actually is, right? $1,000 for 956,000 transactions. And the average transaction is $4,700. And it's remarkable it's that cheap, right? We're talking a fraction of a penny per transaction. And it's really, really good to see. From a liquidation standpoint, we've had $2.6 million of liquidations in the last 24 hours. Bybit being the exchange with the most amount of liquidations at 1 million. 69.62% were long positions that were liquidated, and 30.38% were short positions getting liquidated. 38% of all liquidations sat with Bybit, and 26.25% sat with OKX, and 23.73% sat with Binance. 𝗕𝗘𝗪 is at 9.7, CoinEx 1.7. So you can see how it drops off dramatically towards the end there. So from exchanges, we'll probably talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We can see that actually, yeah, there's a fair amount of liquidations occurring, about $2.6 million worth, and it's quite centralized within Binance, OKX, and Bybit. Now, from a news point of view, is there anything of interest here? Well, I was looking through it, and nothing really jumps out and stands out as a big indication of things to kind of come when it comes to XRP. What do we see? Anything kind of note? Well, XRP aims for the 200 EMA breakthrough, but can it happen? Well, giving you my thoughts and opinions on what I think is happening in the chart, so I'll leave that one with you guys, and you can let me know in the comments below if you think that XRP can break through its 200 EMA. In terms of everything else, there isn't really much else from a news standpoint in the last 24 hours that's really noteworthy as far as I can tell. Obviously, we've covered a lot already within the platforms. Now, as I mentioned earlier, right, exchanges. When we talk about these exchanges, we can see that there's a lot of liquidations that occur on exchanges. Now, we monitor the liquidation status across cryptocurrency assets so that we can be better prepared for knowing whether an exchange is doing something that it shouldn't be doing, right? And FTX is a clear example of this. We were looking at liquidation data like this when we were streaming on Twitch, and FTX just jumped out because it had like $850 million of liquidations across all the different cryptocurrency assets, which when you start looking at each of these individually, it stands out quite massively to see such significant liquidations. Now, this was happening about a week before the collapse, and we were able to kind of notify all of our community ahead of time due to liquidations data such as this. It basically allowed us to say, look, if we're holding funds on FTX, we probably want to kind of, maybe not keep funds on FTX. Something not quite right is going on with liquidations. Maybe they need to liquidate people, maybe they needed money, and all these kind of things. It sent us down rabbit holes where we investigated it, and we ended up kind of saying to our community, get off of FTX, short FTT, and short Solana, right? And that really kind of pivoted from this level of data here. So when it comes to exchanges, the main takeaway is that we want to be self-custody. We want to make sure that we are holding the cryptocurrency off of the exchanges. I personally really like Ledger. It's a hardware wallet, which means, there's when it's disconnected to the internet, essentially it's as safe as it's going to be. Now, there are many people out in various different social media platforms that don't fully understand what Ledger is, or what a Ledger device is, versus kind of, the rumors and the kind of FUD and the noise that's out there. Essentially, it's a hardware wallet. And hardware means that essentially it requires you to interact with it. It requires you to plug it in, and it's something that you're going to have to put a passcode into. And you're going to communicate with different tools on the computer, which is software, and it's going to request things of your hardware. And you have to agree or disagree using the hardware device itself. So there's a lot of noise about, Ledger's going to leak your backdoor for your private keys. Well, not exactly, because again, it's hardware, which means you have to confirm that you're sending your private key somewhere using the hardware device. It has to be plugged into the computer. You have to put your passcode in. It's going to say, do you want to send this information? You're going to then say, yes, I want to send my private keys to Joe down the road, and so forth, right? And of course, that's just not going to happen. Now, when you go through the kind of Ledger Recover process, we have to sign up to something. There's a fee involved. You're going to have to pay that fee annually or monthly. And essentially, you're going to have to agree to these things with the Ledger device before it would take the private key, split it into 3 shards, and then distribute it into 3 different server locations as well. Like, essentially, that is just noise. It's not really accurate. And know what it is that you hold. If you don't know what the technology is that you're holding or what you're interacting with, I can't help you at that point. But essentially, the Ledger device is something that's really useful. It keeps crypto off the exchanges. It's what my go-to is. It's what Chris's go-to is. It's what we recommend in the Cheeky Crypto community. There's affiliate links in the description below if you're looking to pick one up, and all that kind of good stuff. Now, I mentioned keeping crypto off the exchanges because it helps protect you, but sometimes you need to put your crypto on the exchange. You're looking to liquidate your assets. You want to turn it back into fiat. How do you do it? Well, you make sure that you log on to your exchange. What if you can't log on to your exchange? Well, if that's the case, then unfortunately, you're going to have to find another exchange that might be up and running that you can register with. And in a bull market, this is incredibly difficult to do. And so the best advice that I have during these bearish markets is to basically get established on all of these different cryptocurrency exchange platforms and get familiar with how to deposit fiat, how to withdraw fiat, how to deposit crypto, how to withdraw crypto, how you can interact with these platforms and understand how to trade on them. Do you need to do KYC? Do you need to link bank accounts? All these things are the things you need to do in the bear market to get yourself set up for success in the future. It means that you're not worrying about whether your exchanges are or your favorite exchanges online, whether you can log on to it, whether you can liquidate your assets and turn it back into fiat and then get it back into your bank account and so forth, right? So my go-to platform at the moment is BitGet. There's an affiliate link for BitGet down in the description below. I do 100% of my trading through BitGet, 100% of my leverage trading through BitGet, and 90 to 95% of my spot trading through BitGet. If you do use the link in the description below, you are eligible for up to $8,000 of rewards, depending on how much you deposit and trade on the platform. There's many other things going on, such as the 𝗕𝗘𝗪 competition as well, so you can use the link down below to sign up to that and take part in a big worldwide trading competition by joining my team as well. Okay, so there's a lot of different things that you can do with BitGet, but by no stretch of the imagination is it my only platform. I'm registered on Binance, I'm registered on Coinbase, KuCoin, Gate.io, Crypto.com, Bybit, so many. And it's important that I have registered on these accounts, KYC'd where I needed to, and linked bank accounts. And I'm familiar with how to deposit and withdraw on those platforms as well, because when the time comes, I'm not going to be struggling to sell my or liquidate my cryptocurrency assets. Are you ready? Are you prepared? Is this a strategy something that you need to implement? Why wait? Get on with it. Links are in the description down below. This brings us on down, of course, into our trading elements. As I mentioned earlier, we had briefly mentioned over the weekend about the potential for a short position. It's not one that I was going to do over the weekend. I was going to give it some more time. I still think there's potential here to see how high this can potentially rally up before we come back down. But essentially, I'm looking at the market here for XRP thinking it has to be a short position. And, it remains to be seen that we could either get better entry here. The stop loss would still remain the same, just above that 59.739, because that is going to break our structure. If we move above that, then we're no longer to expect this fifth wave move to the downside, and we don't want to be in the trade. Of course, we can have a nice tight stop loss the closer we get to that level, but obviously, sometimes that's not going to play out. At the point when I was talking about this, we entered a theoretical kind of short position at 54.38. That's going to be the area there. You see, we have a risk reward ratio of 2.55, taking us down into this low at approximately 39.2. Essentially, that's kind of where this one sits, and this will be still the play regardless of these most recent moves here. We might get a better entry. Obviously, this is not one I've actually taken because I don't tend to trade XRP, and I don't tend to trade XRP on weekends either. But now we're out of there. If I'm going to trade this, I'm going to be looking for getting a good entry, better than where we are right now, and then we'll be looking to try to short this back down into these lows. It's going to be a very significant move, about 27%, and that's just without leverage, which means you need low leverage. You don't need high leverage positions here. A 5x would be plenty. You'd see very significant gains with that. Understand proper risk management, understand what you're doing. Trading with leverage is not for the faint-hearted. It's something that you need to know what you are doing. So do some paper tests first. Don't just jump on in. Now, just bear in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot give you financial advice, and I cannot give you any trading advice. All I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on the data as I personally see it and how I would approach the market, and this would be my approach to it. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you have found it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.